Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. Saw this one here. Maybe it was reptile scales. Maybe it's misinterpreted. Maybe it's a cymatics frequency. We understand the electrical properties of gold and silver, which was the money prior. And you have to start asking yourself, what frequencies might these represent in the notes in a third dimensional form? We look at silver certificate after silver certificate. Which hertz frequency is this? 1896 silver certificate, 4 hertz or 5 hertz. Does it equal the numerical amount? 2 silver dollar certificate, again, smorgasbord choice is yours. What about the $1,000 note? Has to be vibrating faster. The frequency's increased with the value of the notes. Maybe there's messages buried within. How about a $50 note? What would that resonate like? Because you are taking a moving third dimensional figure and trying to put it into a singular plane. And looking at the U.S. Capitol 1934 bill compared to our modern $50 bills. Do you see something disappeared off the roofs? You think it was that Greek construction? Perhaps it's levels deep. And because we are heading into some extremely inflationary times, hyperinflation perhaps, blast from the past, 1928 US $1,000 bill, Cleveland on that. What did the backside look like? $1,000 written in words so you could know what it was. What if it was a vibratory frequency that matched? And again, the speed of the vibration is the speed of the currency, the speed of the note. If we move to $5,000, 1928 also, Madison. So if you're going to get into a conversation, give me a handful of Madisons. Backside, $5,000. Vibratory pattern changed, did it not? It's moving way faster. That flow of capital and energy represented in the wave. And what's interesting with the highest denomination bill, if we go back to 1880, the 100 US dollar bill, square in the center there, same wavelength. I think they're trying to show us something hidden that only certain clubs of people would know, the knowledge. And it's like that. You have to think about how much knowledge has been hidden from the general populace. Just the vibration and frequency, the workings of our world, how atoms, molecules construct across themselves at a base layer of vibration. Now think about if you knew the onset of cycles as well within that vibratory pattern. How much power would that give you to keep control of the financial system through thousands and thousands of years? These vibratory frequency patterns on the back of notes are known to those who know, who would have access to something like a $5,000 note back in the 1920s, which would be a $100,000 note now. It's the club. They all are using codes within the monetary value for the frequency and the speed at which that frequency has value. And bringing you back, silver certificate once again, 1899, the Antelope series here. Remember how our money used to be issued by the Treasury? And it was always gold and silver. And these pieces of paper just represented that, redeemable over the counter. Bloomberg is warning of a severe economic reset, and gold appears as the caged bull waiting a catalyst. JP Morgan warned, cut stocks, buy gold, and hold your cash. Wells Fargo said gold was in a super cycle that could last another 6 years. And worst case scenario, gold at $3,000. It's as simple as calling Patriot Gold Group today. Find out why they're A+ rated, Consumer Affairs top rated gold and silver company nationwide. Patriot Gold Group offers the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver on qualifying rollovers. 888-546-7020. Call to get your free investor guide today. And now on with the video. And looking at the back, $5 silver certificate. We'll bring you up with the frequency on this one. And you could look up cymatics and go through this all day, finding matching patterns throughout the bills. Again, as messaging to those who know. Now, I did see this originally off one of the feeds on Telegram, and it was looking like scales, reptilian scales. And I thought that looks more like a wavelength, like a web of frequency myself, and hadn't seen cymatics patterns in both salt and liquids and water. Jumped me right to this, and I thought, you know, there are a lot of repeating 6s, 4s, 3s, 12s, whatever it might be in the pattern, and the faster the vibration moves is the faster the pattern changes, and it matches with the value in the currency, and it's all based around how fast a current can move through gold and silver. That's why most of our high-tech electronics right now use gold and silver in every single one of them. Now the milliard, this was the 1 billion Pengo banknote, 1946. Hungary issued this one, and it was a billion billions. So imagine if you needed this to buy a loaf of bread, and then you were saving US dollars, and it used to cost you $2 for a loaf of bread. Sorry, 10 now. Imagine if it cost you $1 million for a loaf of bread. And we come up to frequencies in sound, 432 hertz compared to 440 hertz, modern tuning compared to previous tuning of instruments. The milliard represents, and looks very close to that. Now, if you're going to compare these frequencies, do this. Which one has more value? Which one's moving faster? And it's the same representation of the currency, the 5,000 note, the 1,000 note, the 100 note, the 5 note. It's all silver certificate, all gold certificates, redeemable in physical metals that conduct electricity. And suddenly your mind opens. You can see the value. I don't even have to show you the number on the currency. You can see by the vibratory pattern which one is faster and would have more value, quote unquote. Because it is all gold and silver. Always has been. This new era we live in, the paper era, is once in a millennia type of fad. It's always been hard metals. And interestingly, gold has been the most revered, and silver conducts electricity like no other. You know, think about that third dimensional representation that's moving and morphing with current inflow increases or decreases, and then try to represent it on a flat plane. Something like the snowflake here that's frozen, that takes on some of the same characteristics of, but it's locked in time in a non-moving frequency pattern. So they just mimicked that and copied that over onto paper. Same, but different, as I heard it said. And if we come up to 1923, this is considered the $10 red note. Again, redeemable, $10. But look at the pattern on the back. They seem to hold that pattern. Do you see what was on the milliard as well? The frequency of 432 hertz. They're sending the message, yeah, we understand the frequency. Now it's musical notes in the scale instead of just cymatics itself on current inflow. Now we're talking about musical scales. Just map it over. The lowest, the D notes compared to the A sharp notes, and we get the same exact thing rolling through the currencies. Do you see the pattern now? I think I do. Let's go over to the 1,000 gold coin redeemable 1907 series, pre-Federal Reserve, so it was redeemable in physical metal over the desk. What do we see on the back? Oh, that same pattern once again. $1,000 in gold coin. I would love to get that. Too bad it's not redeemable today, but this is a collector item. 1922, $20 in gold coin, payable to the bearer on demand. You'll never see that again. And this, the 1923 silver certificate as well, payable to the bearer on demand. What do we see on the backside? They're representing some sort of flow of energy. You're worth your salt. There's so many cliches about the value of money and tradables through history, but this is one of my favorites here, the 1896 $5 silver certificate. The V, the Roman numerals. And what are those wings? That is definitely Greek or Roman right there in front of you. Have they transported, have they retransplanted that in our nation? I'm wondering. Because the $2 silver certificate is loaded with what looks like shimmering crystals. This is one of the earlier 1863 United States legal tender, debts public and private, on-demand silver redemption. Nice. Which one of these do you think it would be? This one, 1880 silver certificate, engraved and printed at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which was prior to, again, our Federal Reserve. Double X, bringing the Roman numerals, littered with what pattern do you think it would be? Bring your Hertz scale from 1 to 100 on this. And a great book if you don't know what the Federal Reserve is all about, how it was formed, 1913, Creature from Jekyll Island, with G. Edward Griffin. Also check him out. He just did a couple of interviews over there with Daniela Camboni at Stansberry Research. Lays it bare to see. He understood the formation of the Federal Reserve and sees the equivalent with the central bank digital currencies. That is a must-watch for sure. And speaking of Roman and Greek transplants, right here into America, 1914, prior to World War I, when the dollar still had 100% of its value, there was no inflation yet. Federal Reserve steps in 1913. The first inflation came during World War I, 1918 or so is when those of that era started to see a 2% devaluation in the buying power of their money. Check this Federal Reserve note. Give me the wheat. Give me the knowledge. The cornucopia. Who is the emperor sitting in the middle on U.S. money? I thought that was only presidents. Grant, $50 silver certificate. Oh, wait, sorry. It's just a Federal Reserve note. My bad. 1914, Blue Seal Federal Reserve note. And you notice how it changed to will pay the bearer on demand. It doesn't say anything about swapping into precious metals. But you'll notice when we came into 1928 and the problems in the financial market started, they had to say, we'll give it to you in gold and silver again to reboost faith in the system. Which I'm wondering if they're going to have to do the same thing again, start backing our money by gold and silver to bring faith back into the system. Now think about that. This started in 1913. They ran through one world war, devalued, got into the late 1920s, roaring 20s, and then suddenly there's problems in the markets. People were pulling back a little bit. We need faith and backing. Oh, we're going to back everything by gold and silver again, so you trust the money once more. They had that 10-year window of just trust us. And people didn't. Then we went into the crash, the bond crash, 33, the confiscation of gold. And then it's been paper since. Now there were silver certificates redeemable in the 1960s, and then that window closed and we have not touched metal since then. If you're going to want to find some of these notes, you're going to have to go back and pay a collector to find them. Even if you were to walk in, even though it says redeemable in silver and put it on the counter, they don't have any $5 silver to give you anymore. So that's just null and void. That was a contract of the past. Do not bring it up again. Accept your green confetti and move on with your life while we strip your buying power and make you pay double for everything. Oh, sorry, triple, quadruple, inbound by the end of the year. Speaking of the capital, $50. 1934 issuance on this one here. Now notice the Greek and Roman architecture that spans the entire width, breadth of the Capitol building. And when we move into today, whoa, what happened to that? We still see the rotundas on either side, but wait, where is the Greek and Roman architecture? It just disappeared, didn't it? How about we do one of those, what's different in each picture? And no, it's not a mud flood. It's two different entrances to the Capitol, front and rear. But you'll see that something on the roof has disappeared, cleanly visible for all to see. Are we looking at something deeper, and not only power has been brought forward from the Greek and Roman era to nest right here in America? The iconography or the images on the bills in the 1800s prior to the Federal Reserve and even at the start of it, they were showing you there's Greek and Roman influence in it. And are we looking at something just like this? Buried beneath. And those of you fans of institutional Greek architecture of the U.S. Treasury. Well, too bad they have to sell T-bills to fund our debt, which is then issued by the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor a reserve when they're reducing your purchasing power year upon year. So I will let you decide which pattern fits into which currency note. I talked about it earlier. Now we're into the notes of vibration of breath and thought, resonance on how you speak. Because big changes are upon us right now, you might want to think about growing some of your own food for the remainder of the summer. TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. And also, with all this talk of systems shutting down, undersea cables being cut, nuclear war, all these things are flying at us at 1,000,000 miles a second here. You may want to think about some storable foods. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, that link's in the description box below tonight with courses on how to garden, get your homestead on, as well as links to all the treasury notes and the different beautiful bills that we went through tonight. That's all in the description box. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.